All right, let's get right into it. We're about to take everything you thought you knew about networking. You know, the awkward small talk, the forced handshakes, that pocket full of business cards, and just completely tear it down. Because the old way of doing things is not just broken, it's totally obsolete.
This really gets to the very heart of what we're talking about today. See, it's not about schmoozing at cocktail parties anymore. Not at all. Real networking, the kind that actually transforms your career, is a discipline, it's a mindset, and it has almost nothing to do with what you need and absolutely everything to do with what you can give.
You know why the old way feels like such a chore? Well, it's because it is one. You're just collecting contacts like trading cards, trying so hard to be impressive and lining up favors for later. It's just exhausting, right? The new way completely flips that script. It's about cultivating lifelines, being genuinely useful to other people. It's about practicing what our source material calls strategic servitude, which is really just a fancy way of saying you lead with how can I help instead of what can I get. This isn't just a tactic for a job hunt. Think of it as career insurance that you build, piece by piece, one real relationship at a time.
And here's the best part. This whole new approach, it isn't just for the extroverts who love working a room. Actually, it's the opposite. This shift gives a massive, almost unfair advantage to introverts. Let's see how that plays out. Okay, so here's the key difference when you see it in action. The classic extrovert, they work the whole ballroom, right? They're charming everyone, but the conversations are often pretty superficial. Not a lot of substance is actually said. The introvert, on the other hand, they focus on just a few deep, rich conversations. The source material tells this great story about a billionaire introvert CEO. His extroverted wife works the whole room, but he might only speak to 3 or 4 people all night long. But in those conversations, wow, he gives them his full attention, a genuine connection is made, and the foundation of a real relationship gets planted. That is infinitely more powerful.
So how do introverts really lean into this? It all comes down to preparation. Instead of walking into a room completely cold, you can use a tool like LinkedIn beforehand. Step 1, research who's going to be there. Step 2, identify people with shared interests or backgrounds. And Step 3, send a short, thoughtful message before the event. Something simple, saying you'll be there and would love to chat about a specific topic. That one little move transforms a dreaded cold interaction into a warm, pre-vetted conversation. It's a game changer.
Okay, so you've done your prep, you're at the event, and you're having one of those great, deep conversations. But now you need to move on. How do you do it without being awkward or rude? Come on, this is where most of us completely stumble.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We've all been there. You don't want to seem dismissive, but you also know you can't spend the entire night talking to just one person. Getting this right is a networking superpower.
Let's break these down. First, a really simple nonverbal cue. Just point your feet away toward the door or wherever you're heading next. It subconsciously signals that you're about to leave. If you need a verbal out, use an anchor. It was great talking with you, but I see my colleague over there and I really need to catch them. Or, even better, introduce them to someone else. This is such a generous move, and it takes all the pressure off you. And finally, the classic. Ask for their business card. It's a clear, polite signal that the conversation is ending, but the connection isn't.
So you've made the connection, you've exited gracefully, fantastic. But here's the truth. The most important part of networking doesn't even happen at the event. It happens in the 24 hours that follow. The follow-up. That's where momentum is either built up or completely lost. The follow-up is the close. Just think about that for a second. It's not just a polite, hey, nice to meet you. No, it's your chance to add real value, to show you are actually listening, and to turn a brief chat into a real, memorable relationship. This is the moment where you separate yourself from the 99% of people who just drop the ball. And it all starts with the subject line. Forget great chatting or nice to meet you. Look at these examples. They work because they immediately add value, and they spark curiosity. They show you are listening deeply. You're referencing their hiring bottleneck, their churn issues. See, you're not just recapping the conversation. You're continuing it with a new insight. You're not asking for something, you're giving something. That's how you earn a reply.
And while we're talking about it, let's look at what not to do. These are the momentum killers. First, waiting too long. That memory and the energy from the conversation, they fade fast. So follow up within 24 hours. Second, sending that generic thank you note. Instead, reference something specific they said that really stuck with you. And finally, making it all about you. Flip the focus. Instead of here's my proposal, try something like, has anything changed on your end? It's selfless and it's way more effective. So let's pull all this together and see how it builds towards something much, much bigger. Because so far, we've talked about tactics and mindsets for your career. But the true power of this new approach, it goes so much deeper than that. It's not just about your career. Sometimes it's about your life. One of our sources shares this deeply personal story. In March of 2023, his newborn son, Noah, was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. As he puts it, his entire world just went black. It was the single most terrifying challenge of his life. But then, something remarkable happened. Within hours, his network, these are people he'd built relationships with over years, it mobilized. Former clients connected him with top pediatric pulmonologists. A business acquaintance introduced him to other parents who are navigating the exact same diagnosis. Someone he'd only had coffee with one time sent him research papers from Johns Hopkins before he even knew what questions to ask.
You see, these weren't just names in a contact list. They were real human connections, built through years of leading with service, not with self-interest. When his family needed them most, his network became a set of lifelines, providing hope and support in a moment of absolute crisis. You don't drill a well when you're thirsty. You have to build these relationships consistently when times are good, when you don't need anything. You invest in other people, you lead with generosity, and you cultivate these connections over years because you simply can't manufacture trust when a crisis hits. You build the well long before you ever feel the thirst.
And that really brings us to our final thought. Look, competence and skills are important, of course, but they have a ceiling. Your most significant opportunities, your greatest support systems, they're going to come from people. People who trust you, who value you, and who believe in you enough to make a call on your behalf. So the real question isn't how many people you know. The question is, have you given them a genuine reason to be in your corner?